I am very, very, very excited today to introduce a long friend of mine and a man that I would tell you in every aspect that I truly trust and admire, Dr. David Phelps.
Well, that was very kind of you, sir. And, the feelings are mutual. We've known each other for many, many years, and we've enjoyed watching our families grow and mature, and the generations expand. And I think we all get to a point in life where, the doing of the thing, whatever we do, the making of the money, it's all great. It can be fun, exhilarating, but I believe there's more. And how do you put those things together is really kind of the construct of my book, What's Your Next? So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
David, before we talk about the book, one thing that's sort of ironic, and I was sitting here doing some preparation this morning, I got to be a big part of a next for you.
Yes, you did.
And that was because that was when you sold your practice.
Yeah.
And we hung out together a lot, and you were very involved in the note space in doing that, and still are, but certainly deeply involved in it back then. And I was really thinking about it, like you talk about these next in your life, and that was exactly at a point as to where you were. So,
yeah, I look back the same way, and my situation was, I definitely had a void in my life, not a bad void at that time. And we can talk a little bit about that. But I think wherever people are in life is one of the big things that have helped me gain more clarity about what I could shift to, what I could adapt to, is people. And I value my relationships with different people, different circles of people. We can talk about, circles of influence, and every one of us has, probably a tight group, maybe a group of 5. You're in the center, and there's 5 people. You know who they are in your life. The people that you probably talk to on a regular basis, you hang out with. Maybe they've been longtime friends, maybe they've been fairly recent, but there's some common bond there where you keep up a regular pulse. And there's another circle out from that. Still awesome people, right? And that you've connected with, and you maintain some connection with, wherever that might be. And there's different circles, and these are all people that you can utilize in a mutually beneficial way, collaboratively. And when I was in that void place, and I've me, I've always loved real estate. I mean, I should have never gone into dentistry. I should have just stayed in real estate, but I couldn't help myself. So I came back, but I hadn't been in the business of real estate. And I always enjoyed what you've been able to do, kind of like living vicariously through you. I'm in the dental office, Eddie, and I'm seeing patients, and I can't wait to get a procedure done because I want to go back and get at my HP12C and run numbers, because you got me so involved in looking at how can you make your money work for you. And here I am, I got to go back to the chair, and look, I'm not complaining here, earn $1,000 by doing a crown and a root canal on somebody. Well, okay, that's great. What are you complaining about, David? Well, I got to get up and go do that again and again and again and again. How can I get capital working for me? And so real estate was always the thing I loved. And so when I had that void, I go, well, I don't really know the business of real estate. I know how to invest, but how can I get more involved there? And so we just, opportune time, you had a place, and I just said, hey, kind of going back to my whole mantra is in life is don't look for the return on, your direct trading time for dollars. I came to you and I didn't say, Eddie, I need a job. I'd say, Eddie, I didn't say, Eddie, because you put me on the payroll. I promise I'll be a good worker. I said, Eddie, I'd like to come volunteer because I wanted to learn more about your knowledge base and what you did, because I'm not knowing where I want to go. It was an opportunity. Finally I could go do this, so it was huge.
It was great. This was around 2008, guys. And so, this was and so David and I worked together. He was deeply involved in what we do and helped really form a lot of things that I had in my mind, and I could talk things out with David. So David, you have written other books, right? And we're going to talk about your great new book today. But you've written other books, and you've written this awesome new book, What's Your Next? So what was your inspiration for it?
I have written other books, Eddie, and most of those books were based on more technical aspects of what I've learned in real estate. And, bringing those technical aspects and kind of the how-tos and the strategies to the people that are kind of my affinity group, which are professional practice owners and doctors and dentists. And that was fun to kind of take the things I'd learned and take it to a group of people who I knew wanted to be more passive in investing, whether it was in equities or in notes, and just show them there was a better way. So that was fun. But what I realized was that as I was having an opportunity to weigh into people's lives and help impact their lives, that my message was just organically starting to change. I always loved the real estate and the technical part, and I love the orchestration of deals. And I get. But I realized that my message was actually saying real estate's a vehicle. It is. It's a great vehicle. A lot of my people don't want to get into the business of. But they want to know how can I connect to real estate? How can I connect to people who are in the business and kind of ride along or joint venture, take participations? And so I realized that I need to start speaking to a larger message about, well, what does real estate really do for you? I mean, what can it do for you? Well, it can make me more money. Yeah. Make me more wealthy. Yeah. But what does that mean? I mean, what does having more money mean? And so that's why I started thinking about my own life is money or wealth is an exchange for what we really want. And too many people, not wrongly, I mean, you have to focus on metrics and understand the numbers. You have to be profitable in what you do. You can't put that aside. But too many people get focused on, well, I need to create so much money or so much cash flow without being specific about what that's going to do for them. And so when you're specific about what your goals really mean, then you can back in to the strategies or tactics, the vehicle, in this case, real estate that we all love, and say, well, now how can I mold that into what I want, what my family wants, what my wife and I want? Without that vision and clarity, everybody, I don't care who you are, you're on a treadmill. You're on a treadmill, making a lot of money, perhaps, but how are you going to see that to fruition to what you really want? That's why I wrote the book, because it, again, wasn't some magic that I came up with. It was just understanding what I went through and then what I've seen through the eyes of other people, and kind of putting these things together in a book that I hope gives a message that resonates with the readers.
Yeah, and one thing, David, I think is important is you are a dentist by training. You're a very seasoned creative finance guy and real estate investor by experience, right? So those are two things. And you and I are in the same age bracket, right? But who did you write the book for? Was there a target audience?
Yeah, it was. I wanted this book to be multi-generational. So as I said, I wrote books in the past that were mostly targeted towards professional practice, business owners that, were down the road in life. And I thought, what if I could write a book that would meet the needs, desires, the questions, the challenges of multiple generations? You've got young family members that are, started out, they're on life path right now. And I know a lot too. And members of Freedom Founders, my mastermind community, they've got young sons and daughters who are just getting started in their life. Well, what if I could sew into them? They don't have to go into real estate. They don't have to go into dentistry. I don't care. I want to give them some frameworks to look at life in a different way, because I think too often that society and well-meaning people, parents, teachers, professors in school, kind of set a standard. Well, this is what success looks like in life. And to have that standard, you need to do certain things. You need to go to school and get certain grades. Well, I'm not against going to school and having grades or going as high as you want to on the educational program. I'm not against that, but you need to have a reason why, because today, as we all know, young people are coming out of school, college and graduate school, with enormous amounts of debt, probably with not a really good game plan as to why they went, except that, oh, that's what you're supposed to do to be successful. Well, we know a lot of people who didn't go down those marching orders and actually, I think, live lives of more freedom than those who actually went into these highly specialized areas. Again, I'm not demeaning any of that, but the point is, you've got to have clarity and not just go down a road that says, this is the way you do it. This is the way the majority does it. I think that's wrong.
David, I'm a big fan of predictive index. Mm-hmm. And I'm 61 years old, and my predictive index says I'm a captain. That probably wouldn't shock you, right? I'm not a maverick, okay? So, but you knowing me deeply, that is who I am. But what if I were 25 years old and I didn't know who I was, and I spent $50,000 a year on education to go get an education in something that I wasn't suited to do, right? And so just a suggestion, I think this book really does a great job of helping people seek and discover their next, right? And so I wanted to just get you to talk about that. And why, and David, why is that important?
Because again, I think any stage of life, but particularly when we're young and we're kind of looking ahead to when we're going to be adults and start living as individuals and responsible and starting families, is, we have a certain vision about what that looks like from, looking up at our families and our parents and other people we think are, quote, successful. We have a vision of what that looks like. And whatever path we go down, which means, your career path, your technical training path, whatever it might be, you get into that thinking that's how you do it. And working hard and perseverance are great characteristics. You can't get anywhere in life without them. And there's a sacrifice period that I believe we all have to pay in life, unless you happen to be a trust fund baby, which I don't know many of those, Eddie. But there's a sacrifice period. You've got to put in the time, the effort. You got to sometimes do some manual labor. But I think as quickly as possible, and this is what I try to tell young people, is to get away from the trading time for dollars and actually create, acquire, build assets that will produce income, revenue, cash flow for you without you having to be involved in the management or the doing of that thing on a regular basis. Now, if you love doing it, fine. So what does that mean? Well, I love capital assets. So I'm differentiating, obviously, between stock market financial assets, stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, index funds. That's fine if people feel like that's going to get them there. I never believed in that. I believed in tangible assets. So capital assets would be businesses, but businesses that don't require your full-time attention. And I mean, unless you love it, but that's not passive revenue. That's showing up every day and making things happen. Then businesses that are more passive, or you have a participation, you have an ownership, but you have other people running them some of the time, most of the time. And then, of course, our real estate assets. The tangible asset that I love more than anything, because there's so many ways to create that income. So that's really, boy, I went a long ways away from your question, didn't I? Bring me back.
Well, I mean, the thing is, David, I appreciate the fact, and you've mentioned real estate, and you've owned as many notes as you have pieces of real estate. I'm assuming, is that a fair statement?
Yeah, probably pretty close to an even ratio. Yeah.
So understand you've done both sides of the spectrum, and it doesn't. We know it really probably doesn't matter. I think notes are more passive than real estate, and I think there is a chapter in the markets that kind of lead us one way or another. So there's something else, though, that I thought was really important that you talked about in the book. Is there a place for the word retirement, in the society?
Well, not in my world. That's an old construct that came out of the industrial age, where people, went to work as employees, as workers, worked on factories, and there was it was a model that said you worked X number of years to get to your, quote, retirement age, and then you had some kind of a pension plan many years ago that you were supposed to ride out your golden years. See, that's so backwards today. I think we should just obliterate the word retirement, because I think you can, if you want to use the word retirement, but say, I'm going to retire from this model of my life, this phase of my life, but I'm going to retire into my next part of the book, right? But I don't like that word. I say you should always be evolving. You should always be, wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, you should be thinking about what other passions, skill sets, collaborations could I be setting up or doing, even on a part-time basis to give me additional opportunities, so that when I either want to iterate, shift, pivot, or I need to because the market changes, something in my industry changes, something happens to me or my family, you've got to have the ability to shift today more than ever. And if you just stay in one specialized model, what you were trained to do, the hat you were told to wear, because this is how you behave when you're this, that, or the other, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, you can't just rely on that one thing. You've got to have plan Bs, multiple streams of income, multiple opportunities to adapt. And I think that's where we get it wrong in life. It's this factory model. You go do this one thing, you get good at doing that, you trade time for dollars, and then you're supposed to retire. And too many people don't know what they're going to retire to. So besides the financial barrier to be able to, quote, retire, there's also, well, who am I now? I'm 60, 65 years old and I'm still healthy. What do I do? never even thought about that, right? It seems like it's so far off for many years, and yet the time travels quickly. So I never believe in retiring. I think we should always be evolving to what's our next.
That's awesome. All right. So look, an after party, I'm going to take an area that you talked about in the book, 5 freedom assets. And I'm going to get you to talk about that. We'll finish the show, but in the after party, I'm going to talk about it. Would you name those really quick though? And we'll talk about them more in detail in the after party.
Yeah. 5 freedom assets, 5 assets you should consider investing in to always have your next in mind. So number 1 is investing in yourself. Self-education is the big one. Number 2, investing in your business, whatever that might be. Number 3, investing in relationships. We talked about that earlier. Number 4, investing in capital. Here I'm talking about more your capital that's going to be in more passive investments. Your investment, making your money work for you. And number 5 is investing in your legacy, which to me is your purpose, your real meaning in life. How are you having impact? So those are the 5.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I know we've got some slides. I just wanted to show this real quick. So I was very honored that David did send me a book ahead of time, and a pre-launch book. And thank you so much for that. And also, David did something else, which is not surprising of David Phelps. So I wanted to just pull that slide up and talk and just get you to talk about that a minute, David, because that really that's a go-giver mentality right there.
So we wanted, I just mentioned legacy and impact, and I think we can be having impact every day of our lives just by how we touch people, how we talk to people. So it doesn't have to be something major, but we thought in setting up this book with What's Your Next, how could we have some impact? Now we chose Tanzania, and here's why. The connection is a couple of our team members, Alex and Robert, just use their first names, 3 years ago, took a young man who was blind and had some physical issues from cancer, who wanted to hike and peak Mount Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. All right. This young man has physical disabilities besides being blind, and they flew over with this group and got this young man to the top. It was not easy. And because of that connection, we thought, well, how can we help other entrepreneurs, would-be business owners in Tanzania? So all of our good friends like you, Eddie, that I've known for many years, all my relationships, we sent out, the book with the fact that we were donating through a really amazing group called B1G1. You can look it up, B1G1. But if you ever want to find a place to partner with a very authentic group that helps you specifically donate to a cause that you have some connection with, that's a great group to do it. So that's why we did it. That's why we chose Tanzania.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. If I know anybody that's a go-giver, it's Dr. David Phelps. So, David, I'm hoping a lot of people are pretty fired up about the book. So maybe we should show them how to go get the book. You can see that I'm holding mine fairly tight. And so we are really excited about the launch and have gotten in on it. And there's obviously the Amazon information there. And if you guys are looking for a book that I believe could be a game changer in your mindset, Dr. David Phelps has written a book called What's Your Next? And I think it will absolutely change your mind. So I'm going to let these guys finish up. David, I'll see you in the after party, sir.
Thank you, Eddie.